Hey there, my name is Hudson Beaudry. Today I'd like to present my goals, desires, and passions project. So I'd like to first touch on my goals. Specifically, a big goal for me within the last few months actually has been exercise. Within the last 3 years, I've gotten more or less out of shape. Back in high school, I was on the swim team. I played water polo uh, and overall was just much more active than I have been within the last few years. And so my body's begun to show it. So I think recently I've noticed that exercise not only makes me feel much better mentally, but also physically. I've managed to get myself off the couch, and instead of watching Netflix or playing PlayStation or something like that, I've been able to get up and go do something that I've been able to actually feel good about, which has been very nice and very helpful, I think. Um, so a goal with exercise specifically is to continue with what I've been doing, which has been walking and running, um, and to eventually lose 25 pounds. So at this point, I've lost 7, and I'd love to continue that weight loss experience. I guess if that makes sense. Uh, my professional goals within the next 3 to 5 years is a little bit difficult to put in words. Um, I switched my major in March, so upon switching my major, I knew that I wanted to do something with business. I am still at this point not exactly sure what that means yet. I've only taken about 3 business classes up to this point, and I haven't really gotten a great sense of what every specific concentration of the business major, what that means yet. So I've taken an accounting class and I really enjoyed that class. So I've managed to find several connections at home who've been willing to talk with me, and we've talked about a possible internship for next summer, which would be a great idea to get myself figuring out what everything's going on. And so I think a dream I have for long term is finding somebody who is able who understands my desire to start a family. And I think this kind of jumps into the desires. So it's a nice little segue there. So I think a big desire God has placed upon my heart for my life is being a family man. Um, as much as I might like to have a career job that pays massive bucks, and I'm able to make millions of dollars, I personally want to make sure that I do not neglect the family that I'd like to have. So I think relating back to my dream for the long term is finding a wife who understands my desire for, you know, being a good father and is able to help me raise my kids um, in the ways of the Lord, and just a positive way there. So with that, I desire a job and a career that isn't super time consuming. I'd like a career that doesn't necessarily work on weekends and doesn't work late nights. I think more of a 9 to 5 as opposed to anything else, because I'd like to be able to be home for dinner. I'd like to be able to go to soccer games or baseball games that my kids might be playing in, or anything like that, really. I'd like to be involved in the lives of my family and not just be the figurehead that isn't really present all the time. If that makes sense. So I think with that, I would very much like my impact to be one um, of joy, but selflessness. I think, um, showing that maybe I could have succeeded further, and I could have made more money, but kind of realizing that life isn't necessarily about money. At least to me, it's not. I think raising a family is much more rewarding. So I cannot wait to do that in the future. Um, so jumping into passions, I think what I'm very passionate about is other people. Be that my future family, be that coworkers, be that kids that I'm the swim coach of. I think that is one of the most important things in my life is making sure other people understand that they're not just there, like they have a purpose, um, and letting them know when they're doing a good job. If that if that makes sense. Uh, so I think in that way I'm very passionate about others, and I'd like to touch on my one of my previous jobs for a little bit. I used to work as a swim coach actually in 2016 and 2017. 2016 I was the assistant swim coach, and 2017 I became the head swim coach. We only had 8 kids in 2016 and 20 kids in 2017. So not a huge amount of kids, but I think what made me feel so strongly and so passionately about that job was the ability that I had to make those kids feel special, and I was able to come to them individually, help them with individual things that each of them had issues with, be that a stroke, be that a turn, uh, just various things that I was able to specifically single out and help them with, to make them feel special, to make them feel cared for, and you know, just to be there for them specifically. And I think that transfers over well into a business field as more of a managerial role. Currently, in my job now, I am a pool manager. So I'm over several lifeguards, and I do more or less of the same thing. Because I was a lifeguard for so long, I know the ins and outs of being a lifeguard. So I'm able to see these people's strengths, put them to use in those specific categories, rather than just um, uh, throwing tacks at a wall, throwing darts at a wall and seeing what sticks, whatever the expression is. I specifically find who fits well in what position and put them in that place to make sure they're doing a good job and doing a job that they will feel proud of when they finish it, as opposed to just throwing stuff out there, and if they get it done, they get it done. Um, so specifically, uh, in my future field, I'd like to find a job that allows me to do something like that. I think my Bible verse that is able to, I guess, sum up how my life has become is Romans 1:16. It's for I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it's the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes, first to the Jew and then to the Gentile. I think this verse is very important because it shows that life isn't all about just money. Life's not about anything really except for Christ. And so I think we all need to be more um, responsive in response to the gospel. And we have no need to be ashamed of it because God has given it to us and we are His.